Hey guys, it's me reobebo here, and today I'll be reviewing Shadow Heart's Covenant for the PS2. Now, for many PS2 enthusiasts, Shadow Heart's Covenant is actually considered one of the best RPGs on the console, if not the most underrated RPG on the console. Unfortunately, I never really got to pick up the game back when it came out despite it getting high reviews. But now that I have it, does this game really deserve all the praise it got back in the day? Let's find out. One of the first things I've noticed about the game is just how high the production values were, despite the fact that the game probably had a much tighter budget than a lot of high-profile PS2 games back in the day. I mean, the graphics in this game is just great on both a technical level and an artistic level, with very detailed character models and environments, as well as very beautiful looking CGI cutscenes, very high quality, something you'll find in a Final Fantasy game. I mean, they're just that great. And along with that comes a very great artistic vision, which really captures the setting of the game. Speaking of settings, what makes Shadow Heart's Covenant very different from other RPGs is the fact that the game doesn't take place in a fantasy realm or sci-fi realm, but rather it takes place in the early 1900s during World War I. Not only that, the game's world actually contains a lot of mysticism as well, containing elements of black magic, curses, monsters, demons, sorcerers, you name it, and it really brings out a very unique world that I really did appreciate during my playthrough of the game. Now, the story of Shadow Heart's Covenant stars off a young man named Yuri Hyuga, who has the power to transform into many different demons. After the death of his lover Alice from the first game, Yuri now spends his time in a small village of Doremi protecting the citizens from the German military. This all changes, however, when a secret organization called the Sapientes Gladios actually cursed Yuri with something called the Mistletoe Curse, which slowly drains the user's soul away. So now it is up to Yuri to find out who Sapientes Gladios really is, and to stop them as well as to remove the Mistletoe Curse. You know, how come all secret organizations are evil? How come there's not like one good, clean secret organization out there? Well, there was that time me and my cousins made a secret club back in my grandparents' closet. But was it really good? But anyway, during Yuri's travels, he'll meet many different people that'll end up in his party, such as a pro wrestler slash vampire, a puppeteer that can use black magic, as well as the Princess of Russia. While the party members aren't really that developed, they were still very interesting and fun, and it really adds to the game's really unique storyline. And the storyline for this game is just really good. Other than maybe a few pacing issues in the beginning of the game, the storyline is just solid all the way through, with some really great twists that I really didn't expect, as well as an ending that really kept me thinking well after I beat the game. Not only that, the game can be really funny as well, having a lot of crude humor, which I really didn't expect playing through this game, and it's really well done thanks to the game's solid voice acting. While the voice acting in this game isn't anything spectacular, it is still very well done and it hits all the right notes, with many of the voices fitting the character's role nearly perfectly, with the exception of a few. The game's soundtrack is also very well done, with a great mix of orthodox and unorthodox tracks, which really sets the mood of the game, as well as bringing in some very catchy tunes. The only problem I really had with the soundtrack was the fact that I wish there were just more tracks to the game, because I did feel that few tracks were repeated a bit too often. But other than that, the soundtrack is just really well made, and I think is one of the better parts of the game in my opinion. In the end, gameplay is what really separates a good game from a bad one, and Shadow Heart's Covenant does a great job in bringing in what works, as well as trying new approaches to the JRPG subgenre. While the game does follow the standard JRPG formula of going into town to buy weapons and armor, and going into dungeons to fight random encounters and level up, the game does separate in a few key areas, especially when it comes to its character building and its battle system. In terms of character building, Shadow Heart's Covenant allows the freedom of almost every single character in the party to choose any type of magic skills they want. So for example, you can equip one character all healing spells, you could equip another all offensive magic, or you could equip just another one with all status effects magic, or you could sort of mix it up and give each of your characters sort of a mixed skill set. And even though your characters do level up in a linear way, and the fact that certain skills work better for certain characters, it is still great to have that freedom available. The game also allows players the freedom to customize something called the Judgment Ring, which is a very big aspect of the game's battle system. Now, the Judgment Ring is almost reminiscent of a clock with only one hand, with orange and red colored areas. As the hand of the Judgment Ring moves around, you're actually supposed to hit X on the orange areas. If for some reason you don't, your attack will actually be completely invalid. However, if you're able to hit the smaller red areas, you're actually allowed to do much more damage than you would just doing a normal attack. Also, depending on how you customize your Judgment Ring, some characters can only attack once, while others can actually combo up to 5 attacks in one turn. The Judgment Ring isn't actually just used for attacking, but for a variety of things such as casting magic, using items, as well as shopping. The Judgment Ring really does help with the overall gameplay of Shadow Hearts Covenant because it adds a certain amount of tension that you rarely find in a lot of turn-based RPGs. And not only that, the game's pacing is a lot better because of it, which is a huge plus in my opinion. Overall, the gameplay in Shadow Hearts Covenant really does a fantastic job of combining unique ideas with familiar ideas, creating something that's very satisfying. So in the end, why does Shadow Hearts Covenant need more love despite the fact that the game got very high scores by many critics? Well, it's because even though the game did get many high scores, the game didn't sell enough for Midway to want to publish a third game in the series, and instead it was actually left up to Xseed in order to publish the third game. And it's a real shame in my opinion that the game got somewhat lackluster sales because you could really tell while playing this game that despite the somewhat low budget, the developers really put their heart and soul into this game, trying to give as much of a cinematic experience as possible, and I really do applaud their work. But you know, I really shouldn't be putting the blame on you guys, but instead I should put the blame on myself, because back in the day, despite hearing how great this game was, I still ignored it because I was stuck into the hype of other bigger games, and it's just a real big shame for me that I didn't get the chance to play such a great game until much later on. And while the Shadow Hearts series is dead, the least I could do is just recommend this game to you guys in hopes that you enjoy the game as much as I did. But as always, I'm reobebo guys, and peace out.